Welcome, everybody. We're back at the GSC Invitational, and I hope that you guys have been enjoying the copious amounts of uploads from week 2, even though we're well into week 4, and we're wrapping that up. So I'm playing a bit of catch-up, as I need to get the 3rd week covered, and as the pool begins to shrink more and more, I will feel obligated to upload less because there are simply fewer games. But I wanted to try, at least, to cover some of these players from this week because it's the loser's bracket, so we may not get a chance to see them again. In fact, we will not see half of these players. So this is going to be batch recorded and consider it a special, all right? We got in the lower corner Ombrarch, who is the 3rd best performing player in this year's SPL with a record of 5-2. And I guess we could say that he's considerably improved over the years. An emerging star. And on the other end, we have another emerging star that has been mostly known for their lower tiers expertise and has played for many years. I've partnered with them many times for Discord servers and teams, and we already covered them once for this tournament. It's Dawnbuster, the most active and widely known GSC YouTuber. So, but y'all know that this is the best community we have out there. Thank you all for following me. No, but Dawn is legitimately a good player and won the grand finals of the qualifier. So, yeah, expect a pretty exciting match. I had a glimpse, but I'm going to break it down for all of you, and we're going to see this set, all right? We're going to see it through. You guys can subscribe if you like it. I know that, whatever. Let's just get into the game. You all know I don't need to teach you how to fucking live. So, Eggy with Stun Spore. Now, Eggy's stun lead is pretty good. So, I particularly like it. A lot of people don't love it, but I think it gets a really good job done. Now, the reason for stun over sleep is because you can hit way more targets than you can with sleep. With sleep powder, you put one thing to sleep. It's probably going to be a sleep talker. That's what most people account for. And that's it. Your target is pretty much guaranteed to be slept and to not even care. But Stun Spore cripples otherwise really powerful sleep talkers. And fast ones, too. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Anyways. Sorry, that was a weird thing that happened. So yeah, so this is probably for support for a very slow Pokemon in the back. And in comes Cloy from Dawn's side. Dawn is on the right, rocking the tag of Hitmonlee Oswald. And we see an early KO just on turn 4 with a Thunderlax. So Thunderlax strongly supports the idea that there's a slow Pokemon in the back. 90% going to be a Marowak, because Cloyster is a nightmare for Marowak teams. So in comes Fori, and Dawn misses the immediate lovely kiss, but manages to get Zapdos asleep. So Fori coming back in is pretty nice on Ombrarch's end. Fori, not all Lovely Kiss lacks. In fact, most Lovely Kiss lacks. They might have another coverage move, they might not, but if it is, it's probably going to be Earthquake. Now, I say probably, and it's not guaranteed because, of course, nothing is guaranteed in life, but also because Lovely Kiss Fire Blast is somewhat a thing of the past. I say this even knowing that last week, or my last set anyways, was versus a player who brought specifically Lovely Kiss Fire Blast versus me. And we see a rapid spin. So if the Stun Spore on an electric and the Thunder into a Cloyster weren't indication enough of a Marowak in the back, we have spin support on an offense team. So in comes the longly anticipated Marowak and immediately dips because in the 1v1 it doesn't win. It was doing this just for the switch. But it's made an appearance, and Dawn is going to use Reflect for support. So the Reflect Zapdos is actually going to prove to be very helpful. Tyranitar comes in, and it's going to deal some chip damage, some pretty big chip damage, but it's chip nonetheless, while the Lax crits. And there is a Screech, so Screech is extremely dangerous. Ombrarch staying in is also an indication that this team is very soft against T-Tar. So this Screech plus the Reflect support is going to be a bitch to switch around. And Dawn makes a very diligent but intelligent play here by going for a middle ground move that's going to still deal some nasty damage to the Snorlax should Ombrarch have decided to stay in. But it's also going to hit anything that resists rock. So the Earthquake did a nice 30%, and that 30% is going to stick. And the Reflect wears off. So interestingly enough, Dawn stays in despite knowing that Marowak one-hit KOs the T-Tar, especially from this range. And why is that? I think it's an interesting play because Tyranitar not only doesn't want to stay in typically, but if you look at this team, it is a little bit frail. So that just because it's frail, though, doesn't mean Dawn doesn't have options, because, of course, there is a flying type. And so the Marowak, we know that it doesn't have lefties. It has Thick Club. It's pretty much obligatory for it to be effective at all and to compete in this tier. And so the T-Tar knows that the Marowak would probably have to attack, because if it uses SD and it takes some damage, then in the next turn it would be weak. So getting that chip is really helpful because it puts Marowak in a percentage range where it really can't do anything to the Zapdos. But of course, at the same time, if Marowak goes for an Earthquake and the Zapdos and Dawn does switch into Zapdos, then it's not going to do anything. And all of a sudden, the situation resets and the Marowak is even lower. So this was a nice, very intelligent turn, and manages to stay in on an interesting sequence of events where the Marowak mispredicts. But of course, they're going to go for Rock Slide again. And I think it was a good follow-up to switch out of the Tar. So in this case, the options were just sacrifice the Marowak, which doesn't seem like a great one, or go to Snorlax, which seems like a good switch. Meantime, Dawn sets up the Reflect a second time, and back in comes the Lax. I like this. I like this sequence. It's pretty good. Goes for Spikes. Ombrarch goes for Spikes. Takes a bit of damage. All right. There's the Tar. T-Tar here. Taking some damage, and it looks to be Pursuit. The Pursuit Roar. Switch is out, probably because they don't want to lose to the Lax. Makes sense. Okay, so this Tar is staying in, dealing a lot of damage. Gonna go down though. And Ombrarch seems all right. And oh, lo and behold, we have the longly anticipated mascot. Well, it isn't the mascot, but it could have been in a different timeline. Charizard. And we've already seen that it's Belly Drum. There is nothing Ombrarch can do to stop this right now. The Lax is down already 2 defense drops. Okay? It's paralyzed. It can't KO the Zard. There's a Fortress that isn't going to do anything. The T-Tar is in range. The Marowak is too slow. Eggy gets KO'd by Fire Blast. And Zapdos speed ties the Zard and has to land a Thunder. Which, again, if it even calls upon Thunder in the first place. And there's even a chance that it wakes up too. So we're talking about like maybe a 15% chance or less, being generous here, that it kills the Zard. And the Lax full paras. So this is it. Fori comes in, not going to do anything, and it goes down. Zapdos, only chance Ombrarch has of winning, does win the Speed Tide, does use Sleep Talk, but it doesn't call Thunder, and it misses. It looks like 70%, but it's not a 70% chance. And Eggy also gets hit, and Ombrarch forfeits. This was game 1, but this was essentially a 6-0 sweep. Perfect 6-0 sweep that was cut short from a forfeit. I think that the viewers are owed some retribution, let's say. But don't worry, there's more action where that came from. So we got ourselves a game 2. I believe that's game 2 at least. Just making sure that the order is correct. Yeah. Okay. Game 2 then. We got ourselves another Eggy League. And this time it's Thief. So a different strategy, same Mon. In comes the Skarm. I like the choice to bring in Skarm here. There's a Gengar, of course. The Gengar coming in on that Toxic. Gets a freeze on the Umbreon, which would have been otherwise a solid check. In comes Cloy. And this is looking pretty tough. Now, Dawn is not particularly known for using Stall, so it could be a Starmie in the back. So it could be double spin support. If it's not, then this Fori is going to have a rough time versus both Gengar and Cloyster. It's going to get bullied a lot. Yeah, so Thief Eggy is pretty interesting. Now, unless we see a Giga Drain, no, we don't. And this is going to look like an electric-less Stall team. So we have a D-Knight. D-Knight doesn't do shit. And that's what it excels at, not doing anything. There's 2 known sets of D-Knight in GSC. One is the flying, essentially the bulky flying version of Gengar, where it has a lot of disrupting moves with hacks and stuff. And it's pretty good in some cases. And then there is Haze D-Knight, which is the most accursed set in GSC ever. And it essentially walls every set of Snorlax. Because it has Reflect, Haze, Rest, and Sleep Talk. So yeah. And there it is. There's Blissey. Okay, so this is it would have been a good start, but it's not a bad team per se, but Dawn got punished within the first 10 turns really badly. and has a bad matchup too, especially with Umbreon frozen. Umbreon could have done a lot of work here. But, okay, there's the heal bell, so at least the match isn't completely lost. But Ombrarch is pretty free to harass the team here. He's going to try and get another Ice Punch. And thinking that Ombrarch would switch out, Dawn goes for a toxic Snorlax, a remnant, a relic of many years ago. Almost completely obsolete, but it would have worked had Ombrarch not decided to go for the Ice Punch. But that's not the case. They didn't take the bait. No attack was revealed, so... Toxic, going on the Gengar. Why is this so bad? It's not just bad because it didn't land. It's also bad because now you revealed so much about your Snorlax set. And essentially that this Gengar is absolutely a problem for Dawn's team. And Dawn has only one Mon, realistically, that can handle this Gengar. Unless you want to take your chances and spam some fire moves, because it's going to be a toxic Flamelax, probably. And there's another freeze. But on the bright side, Dawn has Heal Bell, and that also means that the Umbreon can come in. So Dawn's going to stay in a little bit, and there comes the Umbreon. All right, so... But it's already pretty low, so it's going to have to rest here. Oh, and there's a D-Punch. Oh my god, I keep getting prank calls from the student. Oh, what a pain in the ass. Okay. There's a rest, and in comes Espeon. Interesting. You wouldn't expect an Espeon to come in on an Umbreon like that, but it's actually quite threatening because the Umbreon is asleep. Espeon has growth and it can baton pass, and it doesn't do that though. That's okay. All right. So Thief. Okay, so Ombrarch clearly has a special offense team, but Dawn isn't unprepared and has Light Strain. D-Knight isn't going to be able to do much. There's the Whirlwind Zapdos, going to phase a lot. And yeah, so Gengar is pretty free to do whatever they want. And this is one of the reasons why many teams don't many stall teams aren't this passive. Because your team hinges on the ability to take out the Gengar with Pursuit Umbreon, but knowing this, Gengar dips, but also is not going to come back in, probably. And then what are you going to do? So the Zapdos, is super threatening. Gets a Para on the Umbreon. And gets another full Para on the following turn. Okay. There's a Whirlwind there. And expect another Whirlwind. Yep. Lax is coming in as well. Lax is also in trouble. Yeah, I would Whirlwind here. We'll see. Yep, they Whirlwind. Very good sequence. Nice. Gets another bit of damage on both the Blissey and the Snorlax. I'd Whirlwind again. Nice. Very nice. This D-Knight isn't going to do shit. Yep. The psychological pursuit that's using pursuit while your Umbreon is asleep, and so the text box shows up. It's a gamer move. It deals emotional damage. It's not measurable. So This Umbreon is trying to stall out the Zapdos, and it's kind of working. Of course, if the Zapdos runs out of T-Bolts, then... Oh, ho, 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 ho. Massive crit on the Umbreon. And for the reasons we said earlier, this is potentially game-changing. So the Lax does manage to recover, but Blissey is still jeopardized. And unless this is D-Peck, see, the pressure is becoming too much for Dawn to handle right now. And the Lax is just barely in range here. Alright. Goes for a Whirlwind. Goes for a Toxic on the Whirlwind. But that Toxic is going to be too little too late. In my opinion. D-Knight even gets parried as well. And now that we know what the set of this Dragonite is, there is not really much that this team can do against Gengar. This Fori is in range of a T-Bolt. And it goes down. Spikes are there to stay. Blissey sure as hell is not going to do anything. And it gets hit by a Dynamic Punch. And Dawn forfeits game 2. This was a wash, very similar to the previous game. And that's what makes it so exciting. So, we're going to move over to the third game. So, let's do just that. All right. Now, game 3. Now, whoever wins this gets to live another day. And the other one goes home. So, Lax lead. And it's like they're taking notes from each other, because now Ombrarch is leading with the Toxic Snorlax. In comes Cloyster. So if this Snorlax is toxic, then this Cloyster probably isn't toxic. And we see Rapid Spin. So Rapid Spin probably rest. Okay. Interesting sequence here. So we're looking at a very fat team. And Dawn explodes immediately. There's a heal bell healing the Cloyster. In comes Umbreon. This is looking very oddly similar to the previous match, with the difference that we have a Cloyster. And there's Mean Look, Golem. Okay, Mean Look, Umbreon, and then Golem. Okay. Well, at least the Golem will be able to keep the spikes off. There's a lot of rapid spins going on here. I'd go to Zapdos. That was a bit preemptive on Ombrarch's end. We know this is Toxic Lax. Oh my, and another crit. And there's Quagsire. What on earth? With Surf. Okay. And Quagsire is a very odd mon. Defense Curl. Okay. I've seen a lot of sets in my day, but Defense Curl only means one thing. Roll out. No way. Oh no, but it's not going to be enough. The Zam is just going to straight up kill the Quaggy. That was not good timing. Roll out Quagsire. I was hoping to see a sweep. That would have been cool. Alakazam. Alakazam is actually hanging in there, putting in a lot of work. It's just a mean look Umbreon. It's not really going to be able to do much. And there it is, the mean look. Zam has Encore, forcing the Umbreon to expend very precious PP here. Mean Look could be a very strong move, but with Mean Look only has 8 PP, and now there's 5 remaining, and the Umbreon is toxic. Psychic, Toxic, Encore, that's pretty much the most common set. Oh dear! Present Blissey with Heal Bell. Present. He went for a present. There was a chance that Alakazam would have just dropped dead, but it failed, meaning that in this particular turn, Present healed the Alakazam. In comes Zapdos. Zapdos won't take nearly as much damage from Present. I guess you guys are owed an explanation. So Gen 2 Present has a glitched damage calculation. So instead of calculating based on attack and defense, it calculates based on the attacker's level and the defender's type. Actually, no, it doesn't even calculate the level. It just calculates the defender's type. The secondary type, in fact. And for whatever reason, all of the special types, like water, psychic, electric, fire, dark, they're indexed way higher than the physical types. Normal, steel, rock, fighting, ground, and bug, and flying. So your secondary type is the only type that's being factored in. If you only have one type, then it's considered your secondary type as well. So Zapdos is taking damage like it were a physical Pokemon because its secondary type is flying. It's so weird. But other mons like Raikou or Cloyster or Alakazam could be absolutely fucking dropped by Blissey's Present. Present can also roll a lot of different damage rolls. As you saw, on one turn it failed. On the other turn, it did 40% to Alakazam. And we see a Porygon. Okay, Porygon. Another normal type sweeper. We're going to see what it does. Tri-Attack! Tri-Attack Porygon 2. I've never seen that. I mean, we know what move it is, but other moves are considered way stronger, so that's pretty cool. I've never seen that competitively, is what I'm trying to say. Skarmory is harassing a bit. Alright. There's the Blissey. Ombrarch's team is in a bit of a pickle. Is Tri-Attack going to kill this Cloyster, or is Cloyster going to use Rest? Well, clearly it doesn't kill it, because the Cloyster withstood it. It's very bulky. Curse. Umbreon. Remember, it has Mean Look. Okay, there's Growl. Okay. Making even Explosion a bit of a weak option here. Ombrarch is playing very defensively. He gets a little bit of those lefties on his Blissey and also on his Cloister. Golem could boom, but that would put him in a weird spot. Actually, yeah. No, never mind. Ice Beam, Porygon 2. Then we have Growl, Rest, Mean Look. Okay. What an odd team. Ombrarch has to stall. His only sweepers are dead. And the ball is kind of in Dawn's court here. But the problem is that Blissey gets to come in every time that Zapdos is in. So we have a Skarm Bliss proving doing what Skarm Bliss does best. Nothing. And Light Screen because of course. Because the team wasn't fucking bulky enough with Blissey there. There's Lovely Kiss. And this team that Dawn has just does not have anything for Skarmory, which is a bit of a disappointment. I don't really understand. Okay, that's not really fair. That's not really fair, especially considering how my tournament went last year, where I lost 4 times to stall. So, I'm one to talk, you know? They really caught on to Cherry doesn't have any plans versus stall, and I'm just going to bring stall, and so I lost 4 games versus stall. Or maybe it was 3. 2 were bad execution. Still, it's pretty humiliating. I don't want to go down that route ever again. It's not that I lost to stall, it's that I had nothing for it. Anyways, Cloister comes in, gets some HP back, gonna get another turn of HP, goes for a Surf, doesn't even bother to go for the spikes, interestingly enough. But at this point, Ombrarch just needs to hang in there, I guess. There isn't really much that Ombrarch can do, even with the spikes. Spikes gives him more breathing room, but in another 10 turns or so, Golem would just come in and sweep him away. Zapdos has just above half its PP left in terms of Thunder, and this Blissey is looking to gobble up all of what is left of that attacking power. So, yeah, this is rough, to say the least. Where is Flamelax when you need it? Huh? Alright, we're almost 100 turns in, folks. I don't know. Ombrarch can't really do much. If I'm Dawn, I might even switch a bajillion times. But, you know, it is what it is. This is more a matter of if Dawn can break the team or not, but it doesn't look like it can. I mean, Growl, Rest, Sleep Talk, Mean Look is absolutely fucking diabolical, okay? That's 61 PP on Growl alone. Whoever thought that Route 1 would prove to be so overpowered, infested with all these strong Pokemon that learn Growl. Yeah, this is the part where I start skipping. Cloyster. Okay. Zapdos. Golem. Skarmory. Nothing. And then people wonder why I don't commentate stall matches. Because there's always there are good stall games, and then there's this. Ombrarch asked for a tie, which is tournament legal. You can ask for a tie. And it happens. Neither player gets a point, and a game 4 will be played as if nothing has happened. Oh, hang on. Hang on. And the funny thing is you can technically offer a tie as many times as you like. Cloyster does get a Toxic, though. Actually, you could kind of win through Toxic, but there's only one Toxic Mon. Let's skip ahead another 10, 20 turns to this. Okay. Ombrarch asking again for a tie. Alright, I don't give a shit. Ombrarch is kind of flexing right now. Showing that due to the team that Dawn brought, there's not really much they can do. And I'm not even clicking the skip button. This is happening just from Showdown on its own. The server is done with this game. Like, I don't mind long games, but games where nothing happens are really boring, so... Even the server is done with this shit. It auto-skipped 20 turns. It's like, fuck this. There's a lovely kiss. Man, right about now, I'm actually wishing for a prank call. Holy fuck. It would be more enthusiastic. But, yeah, sometimes you can't account for everything. Ombrarch brought a very oddly specific team. Dawn brought a very oddly specific team. And it just so happens that their matchup against each other is a bunch of spaghetti. Heal Bell completely nullifying any progress made over the past 50 years. Going for a do-nothing move, essentially, to a mon that can do nothing to you in turn. That's fantastic. Riveting. I want to pretend like I'm excited, but I just want to get to the 4th game. Toxic. Encore. Umbreon can always just switch out later. Imagine growling at a psychic mon that can't even do anything to you. It's just beyond pointless. This is the bad rep that GSC gets. This is what people that don't understand GSC, they look at this game and they're like, you see, they use this as an example to misrepresent the entire tier. Which maybe we deserve it. Maybe, just maybe. Can we have more Charizard, please? I think like matchups like this can happen in any game, but it's just really particular when there's lefties involved. Look, everything that has come back in is at 100%. And the Alakazam couldn't have done anything against this Umbreon. Blissey isn't even the problem here, it's the Umbreon. It doesn't do anything. It's literally a set of, I'm going to trap you and do nothing. Alright, if something dies, I'll let you guys know. Something froze or got burnt. And they offer a tie. I'm glad they fucking enjoyed it. Alright, anyways, game 4. You know how it is. Oh god. Okay. Oh no, another stall game. Oh, it's the same team. Oh dear. Why? Okay. Quagsire. Alright. Maybe they will be redeemed. Double elect on Dawn's side. I think we've seen 3 no electric teams in one set is unprecedented. And 3 Blissies in one set is also unheard of. This Umbreon is so fucking good at not doing anything. It's incredible. Meanwhile, hopefully we'll be redeemed and we'll see what that Quagsire is capable of. Cloyster. We already know that we already know the moveset of this Cloyster. Goes for the Toxic there. Good job on Dawn not to allow the Cloyster to get Toxic. Nice double. Yeah, that's a good sequence right there. There's Quaggy. Okay, get a little bit of damage. And dips. Does not go straight to Eggy. Lax. Goes right to Lax, you know, though there's the Skarm Bliss swapping. Alright. Are we going to find an opening here? Raikou is damaged. And oh, defense curl. Defense curl on the lax. Hold up. What are we going to see? That's the problem. Defense curl makes it so that explosion isn't as viable. And there's a toxic. He's going to go for another one. I know what they're doing. I know what Ombrarch is doing. They're going to make the rollout compound in damage. He's going to wait for an opportunity for that Snorlax to go and use rest. But in the meantime, stacking up those defense curls. And there it is. Rollout time. No rock resist on Dawn's team. First damage. 60 base power. 120 base power. There's a crit on the 240 base power. Next one is killing as well, even without a crit. Bam. That was 480 base power. And this one is a 960 base power. 3 Mons down to a single rollout PP. That was 1 PP of rollout. The game shows it like this, but it's actually 1 PP. This is a PP stall team, folks. If the last game wasn't an indication of anything, and the Growl and 61 PP of Defense Curl weren't an indication of anything, then this is. And the Snorlax can't even be taken out with Psychic. And he's just going to go for it again. Dawn's tournament life hinges on whether or not it can contest with the one move, the one button sweep move. No phaser in the fray. T-Tar is out. And Aggie sure as hell isn't going to do anything. He's just stalling. And Dawn concedes.